Hello, my name is Gary, and I was raised in the Western United States, so I'm a native English speaker. I hope that you will enjoy this YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us.
IELTS writing samples.
The charts below show the average percentages in typical meals of 3 types of nutrients, all of which may be unhealthy if eaten too much. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Average percentages of sodium, saturated fats, and added sugars in typical meals consumed in the USA. The depicted pie chart illustrates the proportion of nutrients, namely sodium, saturated fat, and added sugar, in the daily meal of an average American. Excessive consumption of these components can lead to adverse health effects. Throughout the day, distinct variations in nutrient levels are evident across meals. Dinners stand out with substantial amounts of sodium and saturated fat, whereas snacks exhibit a higher prevalence of added sugar. In contrast, breakfast emerges as the healthiest meal, boasting the lowest level of salt, oil, and sugar. The charts reveal that among the 3 nutrients, dinner has the highest proportion of sodium at 43%, which is 3 times higher than both snacks and breakfast. Additionally, in dinner, saturated fat constitutes the second highest percentage at 37%, which is double the amount found in breakfast. Nearly half of the nutritional value in snacks is composed of added sugar, accounting for 42%, which is approximately 3 times higher than the sugar content in breakfast. In contrast, breakfast contains relatively low percentages of these potentially harmful nutrients, with 40%, 60%, and 16% for salt, sugar, and fat, respectively.
Average percentage of sodium, saturated fats, and added sugars in typical meals consumed in the USA. The pie chart illustrates the distribution of nutrients such as sodium, saturated fat, and added sugar in the daily diet of an average American. The excessive intake of these elements can have detrimental effects on health. In meals, there are evident variations in the amount of each nutrient. Dinners tend to include a substantial amount of sodium and saturated fat, while snacks are characterized by higher prevalence of added sugar. Meanwhile, breakfast stands out as the healthiest meal, containing the least amount of salt, oil, and sugar. According to the charts, it is evident that among the 3 nutrients, dinner has the highest proportion of sodium at 43%. which is 3 times higher than the levels in both snacks and breakfast. Additionally, in dinner, saturated fat constitutes the second highest percentage at 37%, which is twice as much as the fat present in breakfast. Nearly 50% of the nutritional composition in snacks is attributed to sugar, comprising 42%, which is roughly 3 times higher than the sugar content found in breakfast. In contrast, breakfast features relatively low percentages of potentially harmful nutrients, with figures of 14%, 16%, and 16% for salt, sugar, and fat, respectively.
The diagram below shows how instant noodles are manufactured. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. The provided image demonstrates the production process of instant noodles. In summary, it is apparent that the depicted process consists of 8 distinct stages, starting from the stage of flour in silos and concluding with the labeling and sealing of cups. At the initial stage of this process, flour is pumped from a truck into tower silos for temporary storage before entering a mixing machine. In this machine, it combines with a mixture of water and oil. After completing this phase, the mixture is rolled out to form dough sheets, which are then passed through a machine to be separated into strips. In the following stage, the dough strips are transformed into noodle discs through molding and cooked with oil and allowed to dry. After this drying phase, the resulting noodle discs, along with vegetables and spices, are placed into cups. The process concludes as these cups are labeled and sealed. The provided image showcases the production steps involved in the manufacturing of instant noodles. In summary, the clarity of this linear process is evident, spanning 8 stages from the initial storage of flour in silos to the final steps of labeling and sealing cups. During the initial phase of this process, flour is transferred from a truck and pumped into tower silos for temporary storage. Subsequently, it is introduced into a mixing machine where it undergoes blending with a combination of water and oil. Following the completion of this stage, the resulting mixture is rolled out to form dough sheets, which then pass through a machine for the purpose of being separated into strips. In the following stage, the dough strips are shaped into noodle discs, cooked with oil, and then left to undergo the drying process. Subsequently, these dried noodle discs, accompanied by vegetables and spices, are placed into cups. The process reaches its conclusion as these cups are labeled and sealed.